Hey there. We have this idea about science, that it's just this perfect mirror reflecting what's really out there. We think we discover things like gravity or thermodynamics, like we're just stumbling upon them fully formed. But what if that's not the full picture? Let's get into it.
So, that leads to this huge kind of mind-bending question. Is science a discovery or is it an invention? I mean, are we finding these laws just lying around or are we actually building the language and the framework to describe them? It sounds like a small difference, but trust me, it changes everything. Right, so think of it this way. We picture a scientist just like looking at the world, right? Simply observing. But what if the very first thing they have to do? What if the most important first step is to build the window they're looking through? Before any science can happen, we have to build this very human framework first.
Okay, so what is this first step? What's this question that comes even before the science?
Well, check out this quote. The language here is so important. Notice it doesn't say the first question is, what's out there? No, it's how will I order the system? The I is the key. It's a choice. It's a human decision right from the get-go. So, ordering a system, what does that even mean? Well, picture the natural world. It's messy, right? It's chaotic. Ordering it means we, as humans, step in and impose a framework. We draw a conceptual box around a piece of it. We decide this is in, that is out. We're basically taming the chaos just enough to make it measurable and understandable.
So let's break that down. How does this human act of ordering really work in practice? Okay, so here's the process. It starts with just observing the sheer complexity of everything. It's overwhelming. So step 2, we have to define boundaries. We make a choice. We say, okay, we're only going to look at the gas inside this specific container. We're ignoring the container itself, the air outside, everything else. Then we apply a framework. We decide to talk about it in terms of things like pressure and temperature. And only after all of that, only then can we finally start measuring anything.
And this is the absolute kicker. This ordering thing, it's not just some boring first step we rush through. It's the whole foundation. As the quote says, it is in the ordering that everything is established. I mean, think about that. Everything we find later, all the data, all the conclusions, it all flows directly from that very first human choice we made.
All right, so let's zoom out. What's the big implication here for how we see nature? This is where it all comes together.
And here it is, the big reveal. Nature itself, raw, unfiltered reality, it probably doesn't have these neat, tidy little boxes and systems we've drawn. They're not just there. So our scientific models, they aren't a perfect photograph of nature. They're a human description, a statistical story we tell from our own unique point of view.
To put it another way, it's the classic saying, the map is not the territory. And our scientific frameworks, they are the most incredible, useful, predictive maps humanity has ever made. No question. But we can't ever forget that they're still just a map, a powerful perspective, and not the wild, untamed territory itself.
So what does this mean for something as rock solid as, say, the laws of thermodynamics? It means they aren't nature whispering its secrets directly into our ears. Nope. They're the incredibly powerful and consistent story that we are telling about nature. A story that only makes sense because of the way we decided to frame it way back at the start.
So you might be thinking, okay, so what? Why does any of this matter? Well, it's a huge deal. And understanding this doesn't make science weaker, not at all. In fact, I think it helps us appreciate just how amazing it truly is. Look, pointing out this human element doesn't mean science is wrong or just made up. Absolutely not. What it means is that science is a tool, and it's maybe the most powerful tool we've ever invented. The key is, it's a tool built by humans, for humans. It's tailored to our way of understanding the world. All right, let's wrap this up with the big takeaways. Number 1, science doesn't start with observation. It starts with a human choice. How are we going to order this thing? 2, this ordering gives us a perspective, a powerful one, but it's not a perfect reflection of reality. 3, this means that even the biggest laws like thermodynamics are our descriptions from that perspective. And finally, the most important part, this shows us that we are active participants in creating knowledge. We don't just find it, we're co-creators. And I want to leave you with this one last question to chew on. If even something as fundamental as physics is, at its core, a human story we tell to make sense of the universe, what does that say about all the other things in our lives that we take for granted as simple, objective truths?